SEO with social media is probably more like the thing you want to think about. When you're doing SEO and you're reaching out, white hat, quality SEO, you want people who are expected to respond and deal with you and link to you. You want them to at least have a reasonable experience when they look at your social media and check you out. And you could be even reaching out through social media, Twitter or Facebook or whatever. You want to at least cover the bases and have that to be acceptable. So you do need a bare minimum standard. If you're going to do great SEO, you need to have your social media in, at some standard, right? Then if you're really going to go out and promote your business and create lots of content and post that on social media, you need to make sure that you're doing that thinking about SEO, right? And the two things kind of go hand in hand. That when you create great content in social media, you can appeal to the personas that you're trying to reach with your message, the potential customers, but also looking out for influencers who can share your social content far and wide, and who themselves may have websites that would then link to you. So there's a bit of hand-in-hand stuff in there. Some of it, like if you shared something and somebody then shared it on and you found out that that person had an amazing website, you should be contacting them. Like a decent SEO would contact that person and say, hey, thanks very much for sharing. Would you like to share some content? Can we put something on your website? Can we create some content with you? Do you have some ideas? Can we write with you? Can we, yeah, that. So the main thing is, and I have this cheesy presentation that I do sometimes, is that SEO is slow and a bit lumbering and it takes time and you've got to put a lot of investment in before it really moves. And then when it gets moving, it moves at a pace and it will flatten you. Yep. AdWords, and so I kind of say that the SEO is like an elephant, right? And then the other thing I talk about is that AdWords is rather like a cheetah. You know, the little cat runs 100 kilometers an hour, that thing. You feed it, runs like crazy. You feed it, runs like crazy. Now you want to point it in the right direction. You want to have some kind of expert actually doing that for you. But pretty much you don't give it money, it's going to lie down and it's just going to go to sleep. And that's it, right? That's the difference between the two. Now, depending on what a client wants, whether you want to get leads now, or whether you want to build a lasting value for your business, elephants or cheetahs. Okay, so the question is, how do we get SEO to work with AdWords? Well, the last question was talking about SEO versus AdWords, how they behave differently. Really, when you've got a long-term, slow building, accumulating, progressive thing that just grows and grows and grows, as SEO does, and then you need something to fuel the business and leads and sales and stuff coming in, well, that's your AdWords. So often a client will come to us, they'll just need to pay the bills, right? They'll just need the leads and sales. They want them coming in. Well, okay, we'll run AdWords, but let's take a portion of your budget and let's put it into the long term. And really, you're investing in short term versus long term. And it's pretty wise to have something at least going into the long term, because over time, AdWords is actually getting more and more competitive and therefore more and more expensive, because it's a bidding war to some extent. So the more people finally kind of submit and say, yeah, I do need AdWords, I do need to buy my leads, that Google's making more and more money. It's not by accident these guys are billionaires. So how do you know if an SEO company is ripping you off? I would say there's a couple of ways to really think about what they're saying. Try and get some kind of benchmarks. We run things in a very white hat way, really trying to do the good SEO. It takes longer than the dodgy stuff. It means that we can sometimes sound a bit fluffy when we're giving commitments, but even we will write down, we'll expect to rank for this stuff at about month 6. We'll expect to rank for this stuff at month 9. Now, the person that you're with might say, oh, you can do it in 3 months. Well, write it down. Hold them to that. Ask them what they're doing. And if it's not worked, ask them why. And if they're full of claptrap, maybe they're dodgy. If they can give you a decent reason, If you did something, I had a client completely ruin their website right after we started the SEO campaign. And we had to restore it from back up. We had to do all sorts of things to dig them out of this huge hole that they'd dug themselves into. But, you know, we still worked towards the goals that we had, and we were upfront in telling them, you've just dug yourself into a hole. But we did it ahead of time. And we're not always, you know, not on the back foot. So if you've got the kind of agency that, you know, is always last minute, rushing to things and not necessarily proactively telling you what's going on, yeah, I would worry about that. Like, I wouldn't buy SEO from somebody like that.